I'll tell you what, man, this season's been iconic. One for the storybooks. We've had brawls, broken records, the Splash Bros splitting up. We also had players making full court shots. They were making half court shots to win games. Twice! This season's also had the three-pointer literally break the NBA, causing records to be shattered. Like from the team who made the most threes in a single season, from the most threes made in one game, to even a bench player who broke the record for most threes in history. Stay with me though, cause the season only gets better. We've had beefs between players and teammates, players and coaches, even players and rappers. There were practically a fight happening every other week. This season's aggression had a switch on it. Players were out there hitting swanton bombs in the middle of games, and we haven't even gotten to the season's biggest storyline. But before all that, we gotta talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're having one of the greatest seasons in the history of the NBA. After 82 games, they have the best net rating of all time. They have a point margin of 1,018 points, which only 3 teams have ever done. They also lead the league in every meaningful defensive category, from defensive rating, field goal percentage, turnover rate, and more. OKC has been so dominant that they spent more time leading by 15 points than they have trailing. And if that wasn't scary enough, they're the youngest team ever to be the top seed, which means we have to deal with this dominance for another decade. And it's all being led by this guy, SGA. He has the most 50, 40, 30, and 20-point games this season. He has more 40-point games than OKC does losses. In fact, he would still lead the league in total points, even if he didn't play in any fourth quarters. Did you hear that? Or do I need to say it again? This is downright insanity. And also, for all you calling him a free throw merchant and saying that anyone could do this with his free throw attempts, yeah, and if Ice Spice didn't have a fat ass, we'd still be listening to our music. Buddy, the greats are great for a reason. If people could average 33 points a game with his free throw numbers, they would. But they can't. The Wizards, on the other hand, are the complete opposite from the Thunder. No, not those Wizards. These ones. The Wizards are a generationally bad team. They have the worst record, are last in points, rebounds, assists. They have the worst point differential in history with minus 14.2. That's 6 points worse than the second worst team. They are so bad that the Boston Celtics have more wins in Washington than the Wizards do. They're the NBA's fleshlight. Everyone gets a turn. But this is actually the Wizards' plan. This is what they want. Because by them having the worst record, it sets them up to have the #1 overall pick. And that means they would get none other than Cooper Flag. He is regarded as one of the best prospects in recent years. In fact, some people are even going as far as saying he's going to be better than Kevin Love. Out of all the players that come out of Duke, from the likes of Grant Hill, Tatum, the BBL Demon, experts are saying he's going to be the best NBA player out of all of them. So a player of his caliber with so much promise instantly changes the future for any team. Your fans start to buy back in, attendance goes up, morale improves, and the team gets better. And all of those things is exactly what the Wizards need. There is one problem though, because Cooper came out and said something that left the Wizards shambles. In a statement, Cooper shocked everyone by saying, "I want to come back next year." And just like that, the Wizards' plan and future got dealt a death blow. No one had any clue as to why he'd do this or say this. Some people think he was threatening the Wizards and letting them know that if they get the #1 pick, they better trade it, because he's not going there. But little does he know that the Wizards are going to be buns again. So they'll just keep doing it. They can do this all day, Cooper. All day. For the Wizards, a turnaround is definitely possible. It's the exact same thing that happened with the Pistons. Last year, the Pistons were even worse than the Wizards are. They only won 14 games. Between Lizzo and the Pistons, I don't know who was making Detroit look worse. They were the Shanghai Tigers of Bobcats, the Perkins of Theanises. They were making the possible look impossible. They tried everything to win. Like once even holding a promotion where if they won, every fan would get free Wingstop. Then they proceeded to lose 28 straight games. And then they decided to hire JB as their coach. And ever since then, everything has completely flipped. They're now in the playoffs, the first team to triple their wins from the previous season. In fact, their 29-win improvement is one of the best in history. Their attendance is even up by 37%. Ever since JB took over, he instilled some new rules, and that's what sparked the miraculous turnaround. The rules include things like players not allowed to wear jewelry, to even not being allowed to wear hoodies during practice. He wants players to have an old school mentality. Practice how you play, be tough, and it's worked. And if you're able to take the Pistons to the playoffs, you can do anything. Even make KSI's music sound good. The Wiz need to take notes. Less of this, and more gang-affiliated players like this. The rest of the league's Lions have also been shattering records. Dyson Daniels has the most steals in the past 15 seasons and is on pace to be the first guard to lead since MJ. Collier broke the single-game assist record by a rookie with 19, while K became the first Piston to be top 10 in scoring since Detroit had clean water. The Lions are taking over. We haven't seen anything like this since Wilt Chamberlain, who was so legendary. In fact, he was top 10 in all those categories at the same damn time. I mean, what are we even talking about? There's crazy stats, and then there's Wilt Chamberlain stats. Everyone knows what he did was once in a lifetime. It's never happening again. Well, until it did. Because what we've never really seen before is a player be top 3 in all those categories at the same damn time. And that's exactly what Jokic did. He went on an absolute tear. He had the highest scoring triple-double with 61, 10, and 10. Had the only 30-20-20 game in history. A game where he also broke the center assist record. I mean, I don't even know what to say at this point. I really don't. Like, what are we doing? Even look at his teammate. He's also like, what the F just happened? I don't know either. I don't know. Like, just imagine breaking the assist record while also dropping 30 and 20. And if that wasn't enough, no player's ever been in top 10 in points, rebounds, assists, and steals at the same time. He effed around and was top 3 in all those at the same damn time. There was also a 3-point explosion across the league. The Mavs and Warriors broke the single-game record for most threes made. A few weeks later, Pritchard and White became the first duo in history with 9 threes in the same game. Then, Pritchard broke another record with the most threes made by a bench player in history. And the Celtics kept it going by making the most threes in a single season. But maybe even greater than all that, probably the single biggest milestone of the entire season, was LeBron becoming the first dad to play with his son. Throughout history, there's been several father-son duos who play together, from Ken Griffey, Tim Raines, and Gordy, who played with both of his sons, but it's never happened in the NBA. And that's all because of the insane work required. In the NBA, you gotta be in peak shape as there's more athleticism needed. You also gotta be good. But not only that, you gotta do all those things for a long time. And then after all that, you can finally achieve such a thing. LeBron scored the most points in NBA history, won 4 rings, is a 9-time hairline replacement surgery survivor. But this one might be the best thing he's ever done. However, the media tore him apart for it, especially Stephen A. Smith, who unleashed a level of hate you earned a master's degree for. Although it was an amazing achievement, he got criticized for it. Stephen A. criticized LeBron for putting Bronny in a position to play on a stage that he wasn't ready for. He's letting his son get embarrassed in front of the entire world, pleading with him to stop.
Well, I would say to LeBron James, do you not know who these NBA players are? Do you not know who your contemporaries are? Do you not know how great the NBA players are, the greatest players in the world? And your son is being exposed. Bronny James, I hope he's an NBA player someday. I'm rooting for him. I'm cheering for him all day, every day. But he's not ready yet. Opening night is one thing. Continuing him in NBA games is another. It shouldn't have been 2 games he played in, let alone 13. Come on. Right. Pop's got to step in and like, yo, I can't expose my son to this just yet. This ain't right. Respectfully, it's not right. I am pleading with LeBron James as a father. Stop this. Stop this. How are you helping him? I just don't get it. I really don't see, I really don't get it. I really don't.
And this backfired on Stephen A. as well. There's 3 things I would wish on no man. Having a bad hairline, boxing like if you were raised by your sisters, and being LeBron's enemy. Stephen A. Smith has all three. The very next time he ran into LeBron, LeBron would then confront him, causing one of the most aggressive and crazy interactions ever by LeBron caught on camera. And after this, Stephen A. Smith would become the first guy ever to go on a world tour after being punked. First, he talked about what LeBron said during the confrontation.
He approached me during the game, and he said, "Stop effing with my son. That's my effing son. Stop effing with my son." I said, "What? Nah, man, straight up, man to man. Real talk. Stop effing with my son." And I saw how furious he was. And I said, "We can talk about it later." "Nah, F that. Stop effing with my son. That's my son. I said, "All right, dog. Fine." And he walked away. That's all he said.
Smith then continued talking about everything else, calling James weak for how he acted. He said it was all BS.
I thought it was weak. I thought it was some bullshit. And I stand up, and then I got my head turned. And then I turned back around. And a lot of people thought this was the end of the game or something like that. This was in the third quarter. Apparently, LeBron had walked out of the timeout, and I turn around, and he's right here in my face. So I remember during a timeout in the first quarter, seeing Bronny. And Bronny looked over at me, and he had this sad look on his face. And I'm imagining Pop saw that shit. It hit him. Yeah. And he couldn't hold it, and he rolled up on me. And I was glad, even though I thought that he misrepresented the argument, I was glad he did. Because you see, what he was really talking about, which was confirmed with his conversation with Richard Jefferson, is that I was talking about him as a father. And so what happens is that had he said that to me, then I wouldn't have been thrown off. I'd have came right back at him. Yes, I was. I was talking about you. You did this shit, which I'll get to in a second. But because he didn't do that, I said, fine, you let it go. Now, we can sit up here in front all we want to and act like we don't work for somebody. Damn it, I work for Walt Disney. And if I had gotten into some shit with him at courtside right there at that moment, no matter how right I would have been, it would have been wrong. And I was like, I'm not gonna do this.
He also didn't stop critiquing LeBron as a father. He would go on several different networks to get his point across. Eventually, though, everything started to die down. Until LeBron reignited the beef again. And he did so after he went on a show and said this.
It started off with, I didn't want to address it.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't want to address it. I wasn't going to address it. But since the video came out, I feel the need to address it.
Yeah, well, viral. You would be not to talk about it.
Are you kidding me? If there's one person that couldn't wait to the video to drop so you could address it, it's your ass. Like, seriously, it's, you take it and you get personal with it. It's my job to not only protect my damn household, but protect the players. You know, and I think a lot of the media, including him, and I know he's gonna be happy as hell. He's gonna be smiling from ear to ear when he hears me talking about him again. Oh my God, he's gonna get home and grab some ice cream out of the fucking freezer and sit in his chair in his tighty whities on the couch.
Stephen A. would then respond by saying if James had touched him during the confrontation, he would have swung on him. James continued trolling him, this time posting Smith's boxing highlights. Stephen A. Smith had successfully milked a 15-second interaction more than the Hawk Tour girl did. The Lakers, on the other hand, continued making headlines, this time with the Mavericks, when they pulled off a trade that resulted in utter outrage from fans. There were protests, backlash across the league, and extreme hostility. The Mavericks had decided to trade Luka Doncic to the Lakers for Anthony Davis, and the rest was history. Since joining the Lakers, Luka scored at least 30 points in half of his games, has the most 30-point games by a Laker guard since Kobe. He's had the most threes for a single month in franchise history. They traded this man because he was a bit overweight. Like, God forbid a man drink a few too many sweet teas. He was still cooking. This man could have been eating a cheeseburger while walking the ball up the court. And if he was going to keep putting up 39-9 and leading the match to the finals, I would have been there right next to him, asking him if he needed more ranch on the side. And now with him, the Lakers are on a tear. They were the 5th seed. After the trade, they're up to the 3rd seed. Their title odds have doubled, while the Mavericks, on the other hand, have completely spiraled. Injury after injury has piled up. First, AD sprained his groin, then Kyrie tore his ACL. Gafford injured his knee, even Lively hurt his ankle. Heck, even one of their coaches got arrested for assault with a deadly weapon. Everything that could go wrong, did. With Luka, the Mavericks were the 7th seed. Now, they're the 10th seed, and their title odds have dropped by 50%. It's the worst trade to happen ever in the history. Even worse, or probably as worse as when Biden traded Brittany Griner for the biggest weapon trafficker on earth with Russia. So why in the world would they do it? Well, some people think that it was orchestrated by the NBA in order to boost ratings. They wanted to create a can't-miss storyline so that viewership would go up, and a trade of this magnitude does exactly that. And the reason why they're doing all this is because the NBA's been under fire due to viewership completely tanking. This past decade, they've hit historic lows. Attendance keeps dropping. Ratings keep getting lower and lower. Just look at the All-Star game. It was one of the NBA's biggest events. Now, they get less views than women's college basketball. So going into this year, the NBA knew they had to have a plan to bring the hype back. They introduced a format, increased the prize pool. They even got so desperate, they invited Mr. Beast to the All-Star game. Oh, look at him. What's he doing? Back up a little bit, Mr. Beast, back up. Give my man some space to shoot. You're practically touching tips with them. Like, look at my man Dame. Even he's looking at you like, yo, chill out, my boy. Damn near had to box his ass out. Hey, the fans lucky it was Dame, though. Because if that was Morant, he would have just shot the kid. But after all this was said and done, what happened with the NBA's All-Star ratings? Turns out, the NBA's worst nightmare came true. It was the 2nd lowest viewed All-Star game in history, a 13% decline from last year. And it gets worse because the stadium was also half empty. The trend had also continued. The entire basketball world was scrambling to find out why. The NBA had no answer for it. Some people think there are 3 reasons. First off, the lack of passion, fire, and defense. We're all tired of this soft like charming playstyle. Fans don't want to see this. No. Go out there and face your grown man. Catch a body. Second, there's no drama or rivalries going on in the league. The last time the ratings were peaking, it was during the Braun versus the Warriors NBA era. We got to get back to more of that. And lastly, if you look at all the different streaming services you need just to watch the games, like look at this. This is why we illegally stream. This is OD. I'd rather deal with jerkmate pop-ups than this. What happened to the game I once loved? It's dying right in front of our own eyes. And guess what? It gets worse. Because all the legends of the game, they're on the way out too. LeBron, Curry, Durant, AD, and everyone else, they're getting old. Their days are numbers. Morant might be gone too. You know that boy can't put the blicky down. He gone. And when they're all gone, then what, huh? Then what? I'm gonna be honest, boys, that might be the end. But there is a little bit of hope. And we might have some reinforcements coming from a guy who isn't a unicorn. He's a Pegasus Wembanyama. Upon entering the league, he's done things that I can confidently say have never happened and will never happen. In his first 100 games, he had more points than Braun, KD, and Melo. More rebounds than AD, Ewing, and Embiid. More blocks than Shaq, Mutombo, and Hakeem. And it gets better because he also had more threes in his first 100 games than Steph Curry, Klay, and Trae Young. The hype for him was so insane that his rookie card sold for a record-breaking $860,000. The human mind can't even begin to fathom what he did in his rookie year. But somehow he followed that all up with an even better sophomore season. He became the youngest player with a 20-20 game, youngest player to ever drop 50 points, youngest player to have a 5x5 game. And at this point, he already has more blocks than 91% of all NBA players throughout history. Like, what is fair about this, bro? No, like, genuinely, we don't believe in unicorns, right? I get it. Which is just a regular horse with a horn if you think about it. But we're just supposed to believe in a 30-foot slender man with a J? Like, just imagine being on defense, right? And next thing you know, the Eiffel Tower is dunking on you. There's nothing you can do. He's on pace to become the first player to ever average 3 blocks and 3 threes for an entire season. Wemby was also running away from Defensive Player of the Year until reports stated that he felt a little bit of fatigue. It was nothing too bad though, as he only missed a few games and was back healthy. But then it started happening again. And this time he also felt a little bit of weakness in his arm. Now the Spurs were concerned and sent him for a checkup. Thankfully, the All-Star break was here, which meant it would give him some time to rest and come back healthy. That was not the case. In fact, he got worse. He said he felt more fatigue and low energy than he had ever felt in his life. And after coming back from the All-Star break, it was discovered that his injury was way worse than what people had initially thought. Wemby had blood clots. This was an injury that had ended the careers of high-profile athletes, from Chris Bosh and Katie Hoff. So now the question becomes, is Wemby going to be able to bounce back from his injury? Is he or somebody else going to save the NBA? Or is the NBA going to keep tanking views and slowly die out?